Oh, good.
We're going chasing.
Hello there, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Hello, now, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Now, we have a lot on the agenda, lads, so we'll cut the chase and get straight down to the business.
Hello and welcome to a special episode of We're Going Chasing. Killian, very giddy. We're back. We're back for 1 week and 1 week only, but we couldn't resist it.
No, very, very difficult to resist it now. I know we're on a hiatus this year, but like the closer it gets, the more giddy I suppose you're getting, and it was hard not to. I think you had the bright idea to put up a tweet or a Instagram post, and in the DRF you had enough drink taken that night too, and one view I believe it was, and you got more than one view, so here we are.
Yeah, here we are. But yeah, we're sort of jumping on the bandwagon on the busiest week of the year, and lads there trudging away all year throughout the winter, and here we are coming the week of the championship.
But the best way to describe it is, I suppose, we're sort of like La Bake, well, dream, in terms of where we were very reluctant to line up.
Yeah,
by all accounts, people had discounted us. Yes, we've come out and we're going to produce it over the next hour and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. And sure, look, we will get into a lot of things there that's happened in the last few months since the start of the season and that, but we'll be here all day. I suppose just one question, Killian, how has the year been for you?
Good, yeah, sure. It was a great year. We had lovely weather down in Galway, which is the main thing.
Oh, I meant with the horses, like.
Oh, yeah. I suppose, yeah, not too bad now. In fairness, I got a few nice bets up, but we're still alive. I've half of an anti-post book going into Cheltenham, so if one or two of them won, you'll find out who they are later. But if one or two of them won, like, I'd be happy enough. So look, it's a guessing game, and the answers will be given next week or the week after.
They will, absolutely. Well, sure, look, we'll get straight into it. We'll try and keep it. We do have a special guest in the middle of the show. Killian caught up with Rob Acheson earlier on this afternoon. So they've got 6 runners over the course of the week. So we'll get the lowdown straight from the horse's mouth, I suppose, on them. But look, we'll try and keep it to an hour and a quarter. And we won't take up too much of people's time, and we'll see how it goes. So look, we'll start off with day one, the Supreme Novices Hurlde. I suppose it wouldn't be right of me to continue on without mentioning Michael O'Sullivan, who this race has been named after. Look, it's been well documented, such a sad state of affairs. I see his brother Alan is back riding too, and won 2 points this weekend. So all fair dues to him as well. You can imagine how tough it is for him to get back on a horse and to have 2 winners there this weekend. Look, I was delighted to see it, but look, hats off to Skybet there as well for remembering him in this way. I think it's very apt.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and sincere condolences to the family. Like, I suppose anyone that said anything about Michael O'Sullivan just mentioned how, number one, how good of a rider he was, but more importantly, how nice of a guy he was as well. And he'll be very sadly missed, and it was a very tragic incident.
Absolutely. Well, Killian, look, we look at the market there. So we've got Kopek the boards 4 to 5, Romeo Coolio second in the champion bumper last year, 5, 6 to 1, 7 to 2, Work Ahead, and then you're looking at William Money. The new line is obviously in there, but he'll not be running there. So look, the starting point, I suppose, is Kopek the boards. What's your opinion on him? Is he a banker to start off the week? Are you piling in, or are you looking at something there with a bit of each way value?
Yeah, I suppose, look, he's the most likely winner, and he'd be great for punters to get off to a good start on him. And I do think he probably will win. I suppose he was brilliant in winning bumper last year, and 2 out of 2 over hurdles in Leopardstown. He goes left-handed, which is important. He beat a very nice horse at Christmas, Cowabunga. JP's he's going to miss the festival, but he's a right detail now as well. And then Paul Townend was back on board in the Grade One at the DRF, and like he couldn't have won it any easier than he did. He does a lot right. I suppose I think he's a bit of a headbanger. Like I think if he's down at the start and he's acting up, I'd imagine you'll see a bit of money for Salvador Money and Romeo Coolio. But I wouldn't say he's bomb-proof, but he's very likely to win. That race in Leopardstown, 5 of the last 7 winners have won at Cheltenham, 2 Supreme winners and 3 Ballymores. So he's very hard to oppose. I do think Romeo Coolio is probably the one if you really wanted to take him on with. He got beat in the Royal Bond. I know it was beaten by a handicapper effectively, but it was on very quick ground that day in Fairyhouse, and he probably tactically, I wouldn't say they got it spot on with him, and he got beat as a result. But he's definitely one that he improved in an awful lot to Christmas, and he went out and showed what he can do and what he's able to do. I think he's a bit more experienced than the favourite. He's 7 or 8 runs, so I suppose like he's Cheltenham form in the book as well. He's there 5 or 6 to 1. Like at an each way price, he's definitely worth a few quid. But I would imagine Kopek de Boers will win.
Yeah, I'd be along a similar line of thinking as yourself there, to be honest, Killian. Kopek de Boers there, definitely the right favourite. And I think it comes down to what sort of punter you are. Like if you're happy getting stuck in at a sharp price, I think he's the right price. But with so much buzz around the festival and all that, and the fact that there are question marks over his temperament, possibly, then it boils down to, do you rather take him on each way with something? I thought Romeo Coolio, I think he's a big price. He's 7 to 1 there, but generally he's 5 or 6s, and he's gone out and produced it. He's looked very good this year over hurdles. And obviously then he's got the Cheltenham form from last year as well. I do like him each way. It's a bit of a scumbag bet, but I think it's hard to go wrong with it. And then I suppose the other one there that's interesting for me was Work Ahead. Like his race there at Stevenson's Day in Christmas has worked out extremely well. William Money there has went on and improved. The horse in third, Sprint de la Mare, again for Gavin Cromwell, has gone out 2 wins since and is rated 138. He was bet by 20 lengths. Now look, he's improved obviously since that day, but that form is really stacking up. Henry's yard seem to be keen on him as well, at a bigger price. I quite like him. There are alternatives to the favourite there, and I think just starting off the festival, I'd always look for something each way in this race. All the bookies will have different offers and whatnot, extra places. Again, a bit of a scumbag way to go about things, but like I'd be looking at, and if Kopek wins, so be it.
Yeah, like as you said, there are good alternatives there, but the one I'd be very against is Salvador Monday, to be honest. I know the juvenile form is rock solid from last year, but I couldn't have him on that Moscow Flyer run. Like it was very slowly run race, and I know he did an awful lot wrong, and his jumping was bad, and he was keen, but Jesus, like comparing him to Kopek de Boers and comparing him to Romeo Coolio, like, and I just don't understand how he could go off a shorter price than Romeo Coolio on the day. To be
Yeah.
perfectly honest, like the horses he beat in the Moscow Flyer, like I know Darrow O'Keefe is strong on Skylord. If it was a really strongly run race, he made the run in that day. But hard to imagine him being a Grade One horse. Same with relieved of duties, ran a fucking stinker in the DRF and a handicap after that. So it's very hard to see how Salvador Monday could beat Romeo Coolio. Don't mind Kopek de Boers, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, I'd be in full agreement with you there. On that, I couldn't have him at all. But Romeo Coolio is a very fair price. and is probably the main danger in fairness. Look, moving on there, Killian, the Arkle, obviously Sergino, a huge lot. Majbur there is a very sharp price. What's he there now? 7-4 on load of sud. Like a handicapper really last year over hurdles, and again has improved a lot for a fence. But like, does load of sud or the likes of Django Boy have the class for Majbur? We're not going to spend too long on this, I'd imagine.
No, no, we won't. He's untouchable. Yeah. Sergino Majborough would have been a cracking race. Whether people like it or not, Majborough is a fair detail. Like he mightn't have bet Sergino, he mightn't have had the speed from, but like in Leopardstown the last day, it's fucking unbelievable. He was like he put down at a couple of fences. Like I think he could go through a fence and win the Arkle. Like his jumping is pretty good. Like when he missed one out the back, it might have been the second fence in the back straight in Leopardstown. His jumping got better. Like he learned from his mistake and he got better. Like he beat a decent field in the Irish Arkle. To be honest, like it wasn't no hopers like Il Atlantique was walloped. So I do think he's one for your multiples across the week, I'd say. Like if you fancy something at a price, I'd fuck Majbur in with him, just to build it up a bit. I can't see him being beat. I've looked at the each way as well. There's nothing I could see to even have a chance. Like if you were to maybe look in the without market, you might find something, but like as you said, load of sod, handicap hurdler, he's improved for fences, but like he got a horrid race in Warwick the last day. Now he gave himself an awful hard time of it. Took it up and finished drunk nearly. Nearly got done by Rubo, who's franked the farm, I suppose. But no, couldn't have load of sud. Now I'd imagine it could be a big price horse to finish the second to him, but they'll be miles behind him.
Yeah, not miles behind him. I wouldn't be taking Majbur on with anything in this race either, to be honest, Killian. Looking on at the Mayor's Hurdle then, I suppose the likes of Brighter Days Ahead and Lossiemouth, in all likelihood, we're not expecting to see either of them here. We're going to have a cracking champion hurdle, but sticking to the Mayors for the time being, Jade de Grugy, July Flower, Cargeese, Golden Ace is there, but you can't imagine she'd be getting involved really. Where was your eye drawn to here, I suppose, outside of those two non-intended runners?
I wouldn't imagine Lossiemouth is certain to run the champion hurdle, I'd say. I like Brighter Days Ahead is definitely going to run the champion hurdle.
Yeah.
Under no illusions.
Yeah.
And like if they announce it in the next couple of days, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're giving Willie Mullins 4 or 5 days to think about it and say, are we really going to take on Constitution Hill, who we failed to beat already, and a mare that's on the serious improve like Brighter Days Ahead? And I'd say they might just go and say, let's go win the mares. Like Jade Jagruji isn't a certainty, but she'd be the most likely winner. Lossiemouth coming off a fall, I wouldn't say it's an absolute certainty she goes to the champion hurdle. For all she should run in it, I wouldn't say it's a certainty she will. But let's just say they don't. Neither of them run. I do think Jade de Grugy's comeback run there was a lot to like about it. She's a Grade 1 winner from Fairyhouse last year. Very talented horse. I suppose like Brighter Days Ahead got caught out in a really, really, really slowly run race of the Mayor's Novice last year and finished fourth. I'd imagine like Paul Townend would want another go at the ride on that. But the one I like is Carla Conte at about 14-1. I think she's a serious each way bet. She's meeting July Flower, who's about 4-1 on £5 better terms than the run at Christmas. She was a good winner in a listed hurdle in Down Royal, and there was no shame in defeat then behind Anzadam in Fairyhouse. She was giving him weight that day as well, or she was £5 wrong with him. She got 2 pounds off him. But she ran well up to 2.5 miles at Christmas in a very strongly run race. I know we've Rob on later, and he's echoing the same things I'm saying here, in terms that there isn't an awful lot of pace in this mare's race, and there's a few of them. Like I think it'd bring Golden Ace back into it, and not having a really strongly run race. I don't think she'd get it through 2.5 miles, but she would be dangerous enough. But Calaconte, and the discrepancy between her and July Flower is massive. They should probably be both 7 or 8 to 1 shots, and Calaconte is 14 to 1. So that's
Yeah.
where my money has gone. And
Yeah, and would you go there, Killian, if Lossiemouth ran, or would you just back Lossiemouth?
oh no, if Lossiemouth ran in the Mayor's Hurdle, I'd lay her.
Would you?
Oh yeah, she got a fucking shocking fall. She's no chance in the Champion Hurdle, I'd say, if she runs.
Yeah, I have her. I have a line through her name for the Champion Hurdle as well. But
yeah,
God, if she turned up, if she turned up here, Killian,
I think she turned up. There's enough to take her on with
you?
Jade and Calaconte, July Flower, and Golden Ace, I think. And I'd lay her. Yeah, it's a better race than what she won last year. I know she hosed up, and I laid her last year too. But I actually would lay her coming off the fall. Like,
Would
it was fucking, it was a smasher of a
It
fall.
was
like,
a smashing fall,
yeah,
all right.
like,
And I know you're always like that. You never like backing a horse.
I hate backing a horse off the fall. Yeah, but
Yeah, but
that was a particularly bad one. Like.
surely with the class that she has,
Yeah,
I say she'd take care of these. I like Calaconte. Like, she's as hardy a mare as you'd find. Look at any of her runs; she's just a real tough mare.
She's a real fucking bitch. Like,
yeah, she is.
Stay going.
Like, yeah, and she see out the trip well. I don't think there's any issues there, but I just don't know if she'd have the class to go and win the race. I think she'll place. Like, I often enjoy doing a place bet there on the first day at Cheltenham, and picking 4 or 5 horses across the course of the day. And if I was doing a bet like that, Calaconte would be my pick there in the Mayor's Hurdle. But I don't know if she's got the class to go and win it. Certainly, if Lossiemouth turns up, I'd not be taking Lossiemouth on.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd take her on. She'd be odds on. Like, you'd have to take her on. Like, she's off a bad run of Christmas, and then a fucking an awful fall. Like, and Stateman finished drunk that day. They went. I don't know what they were up to. Like, they went very hard. Like, and
yeah,
it was madness, really. And
yeah.
I just think she's no chance in the Champion Hurdle, and I'd lay her in the Mares.
Okay, well, on that note, Killian, we'll go on to the Champion Hurdle. Obviously, last year now you were doing a lot of talking about brighter days ahead, and I think at a couple of stages throughout the year here doing the podcast, because you would have liked to blow your own trumpet there a small bit about her.
Yeah.
But you're probably all over her for this area.
Yeah. It's whether people like it or not, and I know who's not going to like it is particularly the English people, and there's no reason why they shouldn't like it other than that Constitution Hill is the only good horse in England, basically. And he's a brilliant horse. Don't get me wrong. If he produced what he produced 2 years ago in the Champion Hurdle or 3 years ago in the Supreme, he'd beat her, I'd say, but not by too much, because she's very good. Like, what she did at Christmas was extraordinary. Like the figure she ran to, and it's only about 4 pounds below his Supreme run, a pound below his Champion Hurdle win. Like, she's improving every day she goes out.
She is. But he is twice the horse that she is, or he certainly was.
I've just given you the figures. Like, he's not.
Like, you're telling me that there's very little between prime Constitution Hill and prime Brighter Days Ahead. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, if this is her prime, which it looks like it is, there's not much between it. He'd beat her, I'd say.
I think that if prime Constitution Hill turns up, there's only one winner. Like,
yeah, perhaps, but like, he's had a torrid time of it since he won the Champion Hurdle. Like, he went to Aintree, and like, geez, he was fucking needing that line against Sharjah.
He was, yeah.
What price would Sharjah be? Like, the Sharjah.
Yeah, well, that's a long time ago, and he was stepped up and tripped that day as well.
I know that, but I'm just saying,
said that they'd never do again.
They'll never do it again. That's why he didn't go over fences. I just think that he's faced a lot of adversity in the last couple of years. Colic, and he obviously had the wind issue that he had in Kempton in the racecourse gallop. And on the evidence of this year, there's only one winner. On the evidence of the Christmas Hurdle and of his run in Trials Day, there's only one winner, and that's Brighter Days Ahead. And I'll be at the parade ring after to clap her in, and you can come up and pat me on the back.
Well,
and alternatively, if Constitution Hill wins the Champion Hurdle, I'll be there to clap him in too. So don't say I'm fucking against him. Like, I'm not.
Well, for my standpoint on it, my view on it is that Prime Constitution Hill, if we got Prime Constitution Hill, he wins doing handstands. I think he was that good, and he has the potential to be that good that he would win doing handstands. But I look at the price, I look at 7-4 on, I look at what he's produced this year, and then I look at the price of Brighter Days Ahead, 9-4, and I look at what she's produced this year. And I think at those prices, it's madness to go with the horse who's produced it a couple of years ago versus the one that's been there this year, has been phenomenal this year. What she did at Christmas was crazy. Now look, whether her statement was himself or whatnot. I know there's a pacemaker there, King of Kingsfield, but Brighter Days Ahead this year has been savage. And I think 9-4, like, that has to be the way. That's the sensible call in my book. And if Constitution Hill turns up and produces what he produced a few years ago, so be it. Well done. What a horse.
Agreed. Yeah.
At those prices, I think it's madness to go with the horse who's, the form is old form. And if he does produce it, again, put the hands up. What a horse. Fair play to him.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But give me the 9-4 rather than the 7-4 on,
I agree with you 100%. But like, I know he's a very special horse. He's one of the best. Going to be like, if he had stayed right, he could have been the best hurdler of all time. But he hasn't. And be under no illusions, this is a very special mare. Like she has the ability to go and win a champion hurdle, go over fences next year and be a Gold Cup horse in 2 years' time and win a Gold Cup. She's that good. And
what about Cheltenham for her, Killian? Is Cheltenham an issue? Is Cheltenham an issue?
Well, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't imagine so.
Yeah, because that is a narrative around it. I know they said last year the race wasn't run to suit. Both Jack Kennedy and Paul Townend and Jade de Grugy were preoccupied about each other, and Golden Ace got a bit of a freebie, and it was just shocking race riding.
Yeah,
from Jack
it was. Yeah,
but still, that being said, she was bet by Golden Ace.
Oh, I know that.
I know. Yeah, but you're asking me about Sharjah, about a race 2 years ago at Aintree.
That's fine.
What about Golden Ace last year? Where would she come in the champion hurdle? She'd be down the bottom of the hill.
She'd be left below at the start. Yeah,
she'd be down the bottom of the hill when the others would be going into the parader.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with you. But Brighter Days Ahead, since that run, she went to Aintree, produced a brilliant performance, as good a performance as Ballyburn did in the Ballymore, beating similar horses. Won it down Royal in a comeback run, fine on very quick ground, beat Stateman and Morgana, and then went out and did what she did at Christmas, which is the best performance this season out of any horse bar Stateman in the Savills Chase. Or it's not Stateman, Gallop and the Champ in the Savills Chase. That's the best piece of form for champion hurdle this year is Brighter Days Ahead at Christmas. And she's improving. He's probably not the horse he was. I wouldn't imagine he is.
I wouldn't imagine he is, yeah.
And I don't think she'd be too far behind him on peak form. So there's what I am.
That's where we disagree.
I could be wrong, but I wouldn't imagine I am.
That's the slight bit that we disagree on. But look, we're both in the Brighter Days Ahead camp. She's the value pick. She's the best form this year. I think we're happy enough to leave it at that and move on.
She's the champion hurdler. She's going to be the champion hurdler. Yeah, thanks. Pat me in the back, in the outside at the number one.
Right, Killian, looking at the handicaps then on day one, briefly, do you have anything that you fancy there in any of the handicaps, or will we move straight on to Wednesday?
I was looking at Sequestered in the Ultimate, but Irish horses haven't won this race since 2003, is it?
Yeah.
He got £5. If he gotten less, I might have had a few quid in him, but I doubt it. I think there's a few good stats on the Ultimate that you need to be aware of. Like generally needed a 140 plus rated horse, something carrying between 11 stone 8 and 10 stone 10, and then have to had a run at Cheltenham. So if you find something that fits that, best of luck. It wouldn't be.
Did you find something that fits us first?
No, I didn't. No,
you didn't.
I have no idea. It's a minefield now. There's a lot of horses that are going to be declared in different races as well. So
there's the guidelines. Go and do the work yourselves. That's
effectively. Fred Winter, Liam Swagger. is one I landed on. I think he could be well handicapped off 124. He needs a very strong pace in order to settle, and he's definitely going to get it in the Fred Winter. He ran in an egg and spoon race there the other day on the flat. Could have been Southwell, I don't know, somewhere, some nonsense all-weather course in England. Problem is the English haven't won it since 2017. It's generally a very well handicapped Irish horse that wins it. So yeah, it's something that's someone I'd be pro Liam Swagger anyway. For that. I don't know if you have a price there from, have you?
I don't have a price here now. No.
I'll get it. I'm going to move on to the National Hunt Chase now anyway. So Liam Swagger, I'll have to scroll down a good bit. He's best price 20-1, William Hill. And Bet Victor is 14s, 18s, 16s, wherever you want to shop around. I think he's a fair price. I think he'll win races off 124 anyway. National Hunt Chase, I was at a preview in a dare, and Cathal Burns put up Johnny Who, it's Charles's son. Said that John Joe O'Neill told Philip, the other brother, in Ascot in December that he'd been trained for the National Hunt Chase. He's a fair horse now. Like he's ran well in graded races. He's off a mark of 140. He definitely needs a trip. I'd say he about 16-1 there. So like he'd be one now of the John Joe O'Neill camp. I'd back him to win, but I'd lay him for a place. He'll either win or come nowhere, like, you know. So like I have a tendency for laying John Joe horses, and I think he's one now that, in fairness, could be well
How was the
handicapped.
Cliff horse? You had a John Jones in the handicap chases there in the last couple of years.
Oh, Springwell Bay.
No, he was winning races.
He was winning races, but not when I was back.
That was the one who was in your 10 to follow.
Fuck it, I can't remember.
Monbeg Genius.
Monbeg Genius, yeah, he won the other day actually. Monbeg Genius, yeah. I have a problem with
You
John
followed
Joe.
him for an awful long time.
Yeah, me and John Joe have a
And
problem.
then every time he lost, you give out about poor John Joe.
Yeah,
and you would man following him.
We keep I keep getting drawn in by these well handicapped types, and they're not fucking well handicapped at all. So I went on a run of laying them then instead, and actually ended up making a few quid. So Johnny Who anyway for the National Hunt Chase is one, and then if the ground was on the slower side, Captain Cody is a real slow horse and dour stare. He won a 2.5 mile grade 2 at Fairy House last year on bottomless. I think maybe even if it was on sort of good to soft, he'd be plugging on, like he'd just fly up the hill, like
Yeah.
whether he's good enough or not, I don't know. I'd be interested to see who gets the first choice in Willie's. Will it be Paul or Patrick? Because it's open to professionals this year. Like the bumper Patrick gets the number one, so they might leave Patrick on this. I don't know. But it'd be interesting to see if Paul rode him anyway. I'd be having a few quid on him as well.
All right, Killian, before we move on to day 2, I just want one horse. I don't care what it is, how random it is. One selection, doesn't matter what price, that is going to come in on day 1. What is it?
Brighter Days Ahead, Champion Hurlde.
9-4.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. I'm going to give you Romeo Coolio to place.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's going to come in.
Yeah,
and you get close to even money on that, and that'll be a good one for an accumulator or whatnot. A nice way to start the day.
Yeah.
I throw in a few others along with it as the day goes on. As I mentioned, probably in the Mayor's Hurdle and a few different races, but that's the one selection that I give you for day 1. That'll come in and be close to even money. Right, we'll move on to day 2 then, Killian, and we'll start with the Turner's Novices Hurdle. So looking at it, we've got Final Demand 5-4. The new Lion for the Skeletons now in the JP colours has been very impressive. At Newbury, you're looking at about 2-1, 5-2 actually on him is a very fair price of Bet365. And then you're looking at the likes of the Yellow Clay and James's Gate. The Yellow Clay is an interesting one, Killian. I really wish he was going to the Albert Bartlett. I think he'd have a proper favourites chance in it. I know they've got Wingman there in that race, but Wingman might win it. You know, he might, but the Yellow Clay will be one that you'd be like, yeah, a proper favourites chance. I think it's quite likely now they don't win either race.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. If it was me, I'd have the yellow clay and the Bartlett anyway. I don't know why
Yeah,
you're picking them up because Wingman has a good chance. He's a good chance in the Bartlett Wingman, but
yeah, but
he's by no means a certainty.
no,
Whereas the yellow
and
clay
this
would be.
fella, yeah, he would, because it's a very, very weak Albert Bartlett. I think the yellow clay, you'd be all over him for the Albert Bartlett. And look, if they went and they had the 1-2 and it, so be it. You know,
Yeah, isn't it great?
what's
Yeah,
wrong with that? You know,
100%. Yeah.
you've two proper horses to go stay and chase him with next year.
Mm.
You know, so look, I hope for Noel Moran's sake that they at least win one of the races.
Yeah.
But just while we're speaking about him, I don't think he's got the toe for this race. Now, it could be a different sort of profile of horse that wins it this year. Usually it's a horse with a bit of speed. And looking down through the betting, I don't see that many there. The obvious one is the New Lion. The last day at Newbury, just the way that Skelton pulled him wide and just he took off. He's the one that really Demand looks a bit of a slower type and will just grind it out. You know, and the yellow clay is of a similar ilk. I'm really looking at the New Lion. And if the New Lion bombs out and he's not as good as he looks, it'll be the yellow clay probably that could pick up the pieces. I'm a bit against Final Demand. To be honest, I just don't think that his profile at all suits the race. But the New Lion for me at 5-2, I think is a very fair bet.
Yeah, I'd echo what you say there. The New Lion is definitely the fastest to them.
Yes.
But I'd say Final Demand go off an awful short price in the Bartlett. He'd win that as well if he
Yeah.
went there. He's not going to probably the right decision for the horse long term, maybe. Running in a race that's not as stamina sapping. He can go up to 3 miles in Punchestown anyway.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad. I think I'd be very slow to write off Lawler's winner that was as good as the yellow clay. I think at 8-1 he's a fair price. It's very hard to see him out of the three. The problem I'd have with backing the yellow clay each way is that he could beat one of the two, but he won't beat both of them. That'd be my only thing with him. Like he'd very easily beat one of them. He could be too quick for Final Demand, or he might outstay the New Line, but he probably won't beat both. But
Yeah.
I think he 8-1, like you're getting a small chance on the win part and a certainty on the each way
Six to
part.
one, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
6-1. I think he's 8-1 on anti-post books, but or 7-1. But
Okay.
yeah, he Final Demand has all the makings of a real good 3 mile chaser, doesn't he? He'll be a
Yeah.
horse to come back for the Brown Advisory next year, I'd imagine, if he can jump a fence well. I just think the form of the Cello is fucking terrible. Like when Dingo was second, he's
Yeah.
not a grade one horse. Whether you like it or not, he's not. I just think if you want to back the New Line, just think about this now. You're getting a horse trained by Dan Skelton. However good Dan Skelton says this horse is, or he's the best horse he ever trained, I'm sure he'll have another one that'll be the best horse he's trained next year. But you're getting Dan Skelton in a grade one against a Willie Mullins horse and a Gordon Elliott horse that are both very, very good. So I wouldn't be touching the New Line, to be honest.
Would you not? Yeah.
I think Final
Yeah.
Demand is the most likely winner. He's a bit skimpy. I said the same in the DRF that he was too short a price to go back in, and he proved me very wrong there. But I think
Yeah.
Yellow Clay, battle hardened, plenty of runs, rock solid 8-1 or 7-1, and he'll be hard. He won't be out of the three.
Yeah. I full agreement, Daniel. He won't be out of the tree. A huge fan of the
And I'll
horse.
tell you who's no chance.
And sorry?
I'll tell you who's no chance. James's Gate, no chance.
Yeah, he's not a horse that I
He's
take
8
too
as
much
well.
liking to. Why are you so against him?
Well, he's 8, number one. I don't think the
Yeah.
form is that good, and I can't see him
No.
being as good as the other horses.
No.
They're progressing. He's probably at a peak now to what he can produce, and yeah, I wouldn't imagine now he wouldn't be one for me.
Yeah, so you're going the yellow clay each way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going the New Line. And the yellow clay to place. I'd be in agreement. He won't be out of the tree. Killian, we'll look at the RSA, or the Brown Advisory now, as it's called next. Again, a wide open race. This is definitely one of the better novice races across the course of the week. Ballyburn, Dancing City, Better Days Ahead, Crow Park we're not going to get. But Lecky Watson, Stellar Story, like they're big prices too. Gorgeous Tom, Henry's are quite keen on him as well. So there's plenty of options there really for people to look at. A lot to take the favourite on with. Are you taking the favourite on, or are you all in on Ballyburn?
This isn't wide open. Like he's an absolute certainty. There isn't a horse in the field to touch him.
Do you think?
Yeah. He's. I'd say he's the bank for the week. To be honest.
Really?
Yeah. 13-8, 6-4, whatever you want.
You wouldn't be worried at all about the trip?
No.
Would you not?
No worries about the trip. You saw him in Leopardstown in the flow gas. He was ultra impressive.
Yes, but the flow gas is over. It's less than 2.5 miles. It's 2-3, isn't it?
2 miles,
or is it 2.5?
5.5 furlongs or something.
2.5. Okay, I wasn't sure it was 2.3.
He's gone up in trip, like, but
yeah,
no
he's
at all.
He's gone up in trip. I know he finished that race off very strongly after the last. Paul Townend got stuck into him and he went away. But that was a slowly run race. A great gallop the whole way around. Was it a case that he was just able to use his speed after the last fence, and now once he faces a dour test of stamina, is that going to suit him?
Well, I wouldn't imagine the RSA isn't really a dour test of stamina on the old course. There's a lot of turning in it. It's a much tighter track than the new track, and like it's not a massively stamina sapping race generally. Like the Real Whacker won this a couple of years ago, and Jerry Colomb was staying on. Like Jerry Colomb is 2 stone a better horse than the Real Whacker, and he beat him in a race because it wasn't stamina sapping.
How he was bet, is beyond belief. I think you're after picking an outlier of a race there as well.
You don't.
I think if you were to look at all the results over the last 10 years, it's a lot of big slow horses that are winning it. I think it's a completely stamina ridden contest, to be honest. And I'd have question marks over Ballyburn. Yes, he finished that race at Leopardstown very strongly, but it's a step up in trip. There are question marks there. One I like actually against him at a huge price. I can see it there, 14-1 Bet365, Lecky Watson. Again, he's the step up in trip, but we've seen him over hurdles. He's a complete stayer. He's unbeaten over fences this year. Naas 2.5 miles. Again, Punchestown then beat Down Memory Lane just under 2.5 miles, but bet Down Memory Lane by 8 lengths. All his hurdle form there. He's ran over 3 miles at Cheltenham and Punchestown last year, but previous to that, he was always staying on over those middle distance trips. He's clearly improved for fences. Just even looking at the official rating there, he's rated 152 over fences, was 143 over hurdles. Has improved a lot, is on the upgrade, and is a dour stayer. Again, it wasn't my intention really to be going down this route of nice each way picks, like I may have done already with some races, but that's the way I'm going with this. I'd be all over Lecky Watson each way, and he's going to be finishing strong in my book, anyhow.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I've seen people saying there's a big discrepancy between Dancing City and Ballyburn, but Dancing City has no chance on good to soft. He'd want it bottomless. He hasn't a hope of beating Ballyburn. Crow Park is going to entry. Better Days Ahead. I assume Jack will be riding him. He's going to be back. So like he is a good horse. He probably should be unbeaten over fences. He was unlucky the last day at Christmas not to go past Crow Park Samu and get him a serious ride that day. But Ballyburn isn't going to lose. Like he's a Gold Cup horse. Like 3 miles isn't going to be a trouble. Like he's there on pedigrees. He's a 3 miler. Like he's ultra talented. He's a massive engine. His jumping is fine. Like if let's say he went to 3 miles of Christmas in Leopardstown or went to Limerick, he'd have won in Limerick anyway. It was in Perry Pass. It's fucking useless. He'd have won in Limerick. It's the 2 mile run against Sergino in a tight Kempton track is what people are knocking him with, and Like he gave way to Sergino that day as well, and he was hammered. But it was 2 miles. He's a 3 miler. He's a banker. He's the banker.
He's the banker.
The banker will not lose.
Okay. Interesting. So when I ask you
Yeah,
at the end of this day two, you're going to be telling me Ballyburn.
I am.
But yeah. Look, I can completely see it the way he finished the race, but I'd be happy to take him on. There's loads there to take him on with. And yeah, an each way price. But look, fair just it. The neck is on the line. We'll move on. The champion chase. We've got John Bond there, top of the market, 10-11. I don't think you'd be as keen on him as you would on Ballyburn at 6-4 somehow.
No, I wouldn't. John Bond's a brilliant horse. His form away from Cheltenham is absolutely outstanding. Like he's around Ascot or around Sandown, particularly, he's brilliant. And his 3 career defeats have come in Cheltenham. He got beaten in a Supreme, beaten in an Arkle, he got beaten at Clarence House. In fairness, the jockey as James Bowen should have been thrown off on that day. He did well to stay on, and you'd forgive him that. But even the Schlures that he's won, he's not. He doesn't look the same. He doesn't have the same zest that he has in Sandown. Very hard to back him at 5-6 or 10-11 or whatever price you're getting there. I just think it's going to be a bizarre race. It always is. Like Solness is more than likely going to get a relatively soft time off the front end, barring Nico decides to follow him, which would be a ridiculous move in my opinion. I just think it's open for something to come from off the pace and pick them off. And like Marine National sort of proved he's a horse again the last day in Leopardstown, and
Yeah.
he was miles behind Solness, and he closed, and
All on his own, too.
it looked like he did all the work himself, and
No help.
it looked like he was going to get there and go past him, and Solness just had a bit more up his sleeve. Probably got a bit of a breather coming down to the third last and second last, but he went again. But Marine National at 7-1 is a fair bet each way. And then looking down further, like Pound to 50, I don't know if he runs here or the Ryanair or if he goes at all, but he's a fair horse as well, and he's 25-1. And then the yearly tradition, Captain
Who's that?
Guinness,
Sorry, who's that had cut out there? 25 to 1?
Pound to 50.
Okay, right, go on.
Yeah,
And Captain Guinness.
and then the yearly tradition of Captain Guinness. He's
Nonsense.
first and second in the last 2 champion chases. You can't judge him on running around Leopardstown. The Dublin chase, he doesn't get the trip. He gets probably a mile 7 furlongs or so. Is about the height of it. And it could just fall into someone's lap, like. And he's all speed. If it was a mile 6 race, he'd win it. He fell over the line last year on heavy ground, but he's probably a better horse on better ground. And sure, you can have whatever price you want, really. He's 50-1, I suppose. He's 33s there, and the honor no bet 50-1 anti-post. And yeah, I wouldn't. I've had a few quid each way in him, but I do think Marine National is probably the one I'd want to take on John Bon with. I'd be a layer of John Bon, I'd
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. I'd be along a very similar line of thinking as yourself there, Killian. I am struggling to be out the winner of the race, but I totally against John Bon. And you can get 11-8 on for, to if you're laying John Bon, you're getting a lovely price. Marine National, I think, like, just looking at the race result there, like, he was 12 lengths ahead of Gaelic Warrior, get another 10 lengths back to Quilixius, and like he closed so much on Solness that day, all on his own, not easy. Like if there was another horse or two in that race that was closing with Marine National, there's every chance he could have won it.
Yeah.
He had a lot of work to do, and like just looking then at Racing Post ratings, like he's improved every run this year. After a long break, had his issues and that, but he's really come back. So there at Naas, 145. I know a lot of people don't give much credit to Racing Post ratings, and it's completely fair. But you're gone 145 to 156, then up to 163 at Leopardstown. I would be quite keen on him. I'd be quite keen on Solness as well. And to be honest, I wouldn't rule out Henry Gameen. Now, look, he's 11 years of age. How many 11-year-olds win a champion chase? Very, very few. And he was bet 6 lengths by Jumbo on the last day. So if you're looking at that, you're thinking, how's he going to turn that form around? But I'm expecting Jumbo to take a big step back in terms of what he's produced already. Doesn't like Cheltenham. I'm putting a line through his name. If Energumene went and produced a similar performance as he did the last day, I think that could be enough.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I just couldn't back an 11-year-old
No.
in it. But I do think Energumene had a half a chance. Like, I think crucially
Yeah.
the race throws up odd results, and the only horses to ever have come to the champion chase unbeaten that season and won it were Sprinter Sacre twice and Altior twice. So that's crucial, I suppose, looking at Nicky Henderson's able to do it and no one else can seem to do it. So I suppose it's fair enough for if you are a backer of John Bon, and I think a lot of the winners come from the Clarence House as well. But yeah, I'd be Marine Nationale mainly, and I'd have a couple of quid on Captain Guinness, to be honest.
Yeah. That's Captain Guinness is more madness, really. But
I was told that the last 2 years.
Yeah, anybody who's been listening to this show over the last couple of
years. I was actually laughed at 2 years ago, and
you were laughed
at 1 second.
Yeah, you were laughed at, in fairness, but the race sort of fell apart too for you. But look,
it could fall apart again.
You were right, and I did have to give you your credit there at the time. But yeah, look, if it comes down to can Salnus win it, I'm not sure. Can Marine Nationale improve that bit again and win it? I'm not sure, but I'd be very sure that Jambon won't be the one, and you can get 11-8, and I'm not to be the one. So it'd be a lay for him. And as you said, it throws up mad results. I'd just be confident that Jambon won't be the one winning the race.
Yeah, fair enough.
Killian, looking at the other races across the course of the day, is there anything there that's standing out to you?
No idea in the Carl Cup. I'll tell you who won't win the cross country is Stumptown. He got absolutely rinsed by the handicapper. He's no chance now. It's off a mark of 157. Does not a hope. He's capable of running to that. On Pionjarug for Paul Nolan in the Grand Annual. Got £2 off the handicapper. He was a very good winner in the DRF the last day. He's an improving horse on an upward curve. Ground should suit him. I'd imagine 12-1 is a fair enough price on that. And like, he won't be backed on the day. Like, he'll be a 12 or 14 to 1 shot because he's trained by Paul Nolan. It was a good trainer, but he's not fashionable enough to be for people to run in on him. So he'd be the one. Then the bumper, it's hard to know. I think the Game of Inches won there the last day. He's very impressive. Doesn't look to have the physique. That'd be a champion bumper type horse. He's a real big horse. I'd imagine he'd want to go cut in the ground, but he's probably the best bumper performance I've seen this year. So he'd be one. Coco Cabana was good as well, but yeah, it's hard to know with the bumper this year. There's no real standout. To be honest, there's like Calypso Chance was very good in Navan, but like he was a cheap enough purchase after winning English point to point. So like, how good is he either? I don't know. And then Jalan Dudery is supposed to come back to run in the bumper. He was third in it last year, so maybe experience might help him, but no, wouldn't be confident in either. Pionjarug would be the only real half of a bet I'd have in one of the handicaps on the Tuesday now, or the Wednesday. Yeah,
with the handicaps for myself, and early rather see the jockeys, the declarations, the whole lot, see a full picture. Look, if you pick the winner of any handicap, you're going to be getting a good price. So it's not a race that ever been any rush into.
And I don't think back in a handicap anti-post as well, like you need a few things. You need to know he's definitely going to run. You need to know who's going riding him, and you need to know that there's going to be a plunge in on the price. Whereas Pionjarug won't be priced in. I haven't backed him yet. I'll wait until the day and to get a few extra places on him, but he's going to be a 12 or 14 to 1 shot. Like,
yeah, very fair. Look, Killian, just like day one, I'm going to ask you for one horse on day two, one bet that will not lose. Give me something. Doesn't matter what price.
Ballyburn
to win.
Brown Advisory.
Okay. And I'm going to go with, I could go to Yellow, no, I won't go to Yellow Clay to Place. I'll go with taking on Jonbon, the field against Jonbon.
Fair enough, fair enough. And
Um,
yeah, go on.
Day 3, you there? Sorry.
I am there, of course. We just have the interview with Rob Acheson just coming up now before day 3, and we'll move on to day 3 then. Welcome to the Robcour 2025 Cheltenham Festival Stable Tour. Delighted to be joined by Rob Acheson. Rob, great to be back, and how are you?
I'm very good, Killian. Yeah, good to be back. I was saving myself just for ye if you ever came back. So delighted about that, and are you glad to be back?
Yeah, you have to thank James for it. James eventually got the finger out and said we might do something for Cheltenham. So it's good to get you back. We've a list of 5 or 6 horses here to run through. Top of the one is Cala Conti and the Mayor's Hurlde. I have it. Is that where she's going to run?
It's up in the air at the moment, to be honest with you, still, Killian. We're recording on Sunday, the 2nd of March, so neither decision has been made on the 2 big mares in it, whether they'll go to the mares of the Champion Hurdle. As far as I'm aware, the Brighter Days Ahead one will be made in the next day or two, and then hopefully the Lossiemouth one is made sometime during the week, but you never know. You never know. Yeah, no, the preference is to run in the mares. I'm mad about her anyway. I really, really think she'd have a stonking chance. And sure, you know me, like I wouldn't play favourites with her horses, to be honest. But I absolutely adore, which is quite strange because when she's home on the farm, she's an absolute nightmare to deal with, and like she has no interest in you at all, like none. But that's similar to my taste in women. Like I just love someone that has no interest in me. Like
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense from what I've seen of you down through the years. So
yeah,
it does make sense to how you love Cala Conti. I suppose she's some great form from as a juvenile. She won the Grade 2 at Christmas, beating Cargeese that day. Ran a good race in the Grade 1 then at the DRF, and she's ran 3 good races this year too.
yeah. No, no, no. It's particularly the race. I think the race in the Grade 1 at the DRF last year. I think that's the race we kind of knew that 2.5 was going to be her trip. Like she looked beaten just turning in down the back, and then she stayed on again, and she was only beaten probably 4.5 lengths on the day. So the plan with her last year was to skip the Triumph and go to the 2.5 mile Grade 1 in Fairyhouse with her for the mares and novices, where she'd be getting all the weight. But unfortunately, she got a bit of an injury, so missed that. So no, we've been planning 2.5 for a while with her. I know she started off her first 2 runs at 2 mile this year, but we just didn't want to rush it too soon. But no, it's for our first go at 2.5 at Christmas. We were delighted with it. Like she was given away. She was in the front pack, which went very hard, and the other 3 fell away, and she stayed going under a penalty. Like I think she was carrying £5 more than July Flower, and she was beaten 4 lengths. So I think the discrepancy in their prices probably is a little bit wrong. Well, it's kind of coming in closer to each other all the time now. But certainly last month when she was 25s or 33s, I think I said it to you at the time, like that's a wrong price given the run of Christmas.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And like, I suppose even when she got beat by Anzadam over 2 miles, like she was £5 wrong that day as well. And people were talking him up as a horse to run the Champion Hurdle. So like, it was still a fair run by her that day.
Yeah, no, it was a great run. Like she was under a penalty that day as well. I remember it's it's in the group chat after it with a couple of lads involved with us. I just said, look, we're just after running into one here. Like he looked an absolute machine that day, and he followed up. He followed up in the limestone lad. Yeah, that race in Nace. So unfortunately for him, he's gone for the year. But no, he looks a good one, and don't think we're too disappointed. I don't think we're too disappointed anymore not to be a 2 mile because of it.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I suppose, yeah, she does the right chance. She's about 14 to 1 at the moment. And like, as you say, the price discrepancy with July Flower is the one that probably July Flower is probably not a 4 to 1 shot, and your horse isn't a 14 to 1 shot. It's somewhere close to the middle with both of those. So that moves us on to one of the best horses in training in Ireland, French Dynamite, trained by Mouse Morris. He's going to the cross country, I believe.
He is, yeah. He's going to the cross country. It's unlike Mouse to try and get everything he has over to Cheltenham, but he's landed on friendship for the cross country. Hasn't ran in public over banks before, but he's been schooling well whenever Mouse has brought him away. So, sure, look, he's a 25 to 1 shot, but he'll get his ground, and if he takes to it, sure, with it being a handicap now, anything could happen. So,
Yeah,
if he was to run into the first three, we'd be delighted.
he's a mark of 150 over in the UK, so he got £2 off the handicapper. I suppose the key to him probably is better ground, and they won't be able to water the Banks course. So with the
No.
weather the way it is, he should have a good chance. And as we said, 25 to 1 there about French Dynamite. The Mayor's Novice Hurdle, Air of Entitlement. Her form has worked out well from downright.
It has, yeah. No, it's kind of one now. We've sent two horses to Down Royal Maiden Hurls around Christmas. The first was Jerry, and hers are her. I'm not saying she's Jerry now, but yeah, her form has worked out. She beat Ballybow well on the day. Ballybow has since gone on to win a maiden well and a grade three. So yeah, no, it's one of those. I think she will need a bit of rain to run. I can't see if it's rattling quick ground. I can't see a world where we run her. But if she does get a run, I think if something goes hard, like they generally do in that race, like I know last year there was no pace in it, but that's very unusual for the race itself. I think she'll travel away and she'll travel away, and she could just be a bit of a flyer in it now. Like it's one of those. She'd remind me a small bit, not in the way she races, but kind of the profile she has going into it of Magic Days when she finished second to Tell Me Something Girl in it a couple of years ago. So no, I wouldn't. I think there'd be worse each way bets than her now at the festival if she gets a run.
Yeah, as you said, she probably will need a cut in the ground, and she's a mare that'll probably get further as well in time, will she?
Oh, she will. Yeah, no, it's the big plan for her is going to be if all goes well in Cheltenham, it's going to be the grade one in Fairy House. Like she's from the family of Rogue Angel. She wouldn't be she hit the page and she by Westerner. Like it doesn't scream 2 miles, but just if they go hard, she might have a chance. But no, 2.5 mile plus is going to be her bag.
No, definitely. No, that's fair enough. So the next one is a horse going to run in the Ryanair. Heartwood.
Mhm.
He ran a really good race at Christmas in the Savills. He looked to be traveling really well and probably just didn't see it out. Stepping back and trip, he'd have a good chance, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Jesus, if you watch it back, he travelled back the best one until two out. Like he was the last off the bridle, but it's looking red hot Ryanair this year. So I know a couple of people have put him up, but geez, there's so much strength and depth in it now that I'd be struggling to make a case for him. Like he was beaten in the Drinmore over 2.5. Like how many horses? I'd say he'd probably be the first horse ever to be beaten in a Drinmore. Then 3 months later go out and win a Ryanair if he was to do it. Like so, he's up against it, but he's up against it. But sure, look, he'll travel away, and we'll see if he has the guts for it after it coming down to the last.
No, that's fair enough. And he's a 12 or 14 to 1 chance at the moment. And
Mhm.
then we move on to I suppose, your best chance of the week in the Stayers Hurdle, Bob Ollinger.
I knew you were gonna say it, you Ollie. I knew you were gonna fucking say it.
No, but seriously, Bob Ollinger and Tupu are more than likely to be the two in the Stairs.
Yeah, we'll definitely run two in it this year. It's still up in the air whether it's going to be Bob or Hidden Valley Lake. One will run here and one will run in Aintree, but it's we're making the decision based off the going, and like if it ended up if they got a heap of rain there in the next couple of days, I'd say it might be Hidden Valley Lake, but that doesn't look like it's coming, so it's more than likely going to be Bob. Yeah, no, he'd have a good chance of placing. I don't know if he'll win it. I personally don't think he will. I don't think he'll see out the trip. I think there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of pace in it, which should help him. Like I know I went through it at the time after he ran in Leopardstown on Christmas. I think that was the quickest running of that race since 2007 or 2008. But of the front four or five, only one will be going, as far as I'm aware. Like
Hmm.
Beacon Edge is going to the Carl Cup, Sandor Clegane is going to the Carl Cup, Noble Yates retired?
Uh, Don't know.
Anyway, Google that and fact check me now, will you?
Yeah,
Um,
I will Google it. But
and who was the fourth? Who there was a fourth there. Oh, Hewick. Hewick is going to the Grand National,
oh yeah,
and hmm?
yeah. No, I agreed with you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Hewitt's going to the Grand National, and Asterion Furlongs will probably line up in it. So that should help him. Like it's one of those. There's a couple of horses in it that might be in a bit of a similar boat to him. That if they don't go overly quick, they'll probably have a better chance of getting the trip. The likes of Bob, Langer, Dan, Mystical Power. I don't think they'd want an out and out gallop if it was
Mm.
to develop into it. But if they don't, sure, look, he's he's very luckily 3 from 3 around Cheltenham, but he's certainly won 2 of them well. So, and the 2 hurdles he was in, he won well. So look, he seems to enjoy the place. He's in good form at home. I know the yard are sweet enough on him as things stand, but it'd be the stamina is the concern for me with him.
No, that's fair enough, and that moves us on to the 11 to 10 even money favorite Tiupu. How is he?
Yeah, shit or bust, shit or bust. I'd say he'll be having a bad week if he doesn't come in now. I'd say he'll be having a bad year if he doesn't come in now. No, he's in great form. He's in great form. He's going away. He's going away for his last gallop away from home tomorrow in Leopardstown after racing. So yeah, no, we'll hear more from that. But no, he's in a good place. He had his break after the Hatton's Grace. He went away to Robbie Powers for a month off, which he did last year as well. Just because he doesn't take everyone knows he doesn't take too much training. He'd be light framed and he'd be light framed. So as many breaks as we can give him, that's what you want. But no, I've seen a lot of people question the ground for him. I don't think it's a concern now myself. I probably would have up until Punchestown last year, but he won that well on yielding ground. So I think it was good yielding on time form, if I'm correct. And yeah, no, like he ran a 158 that day in Punchestown on that ground. 158 would have been enough to win 8 of the last 10 stayers. So the only 2 that would have bet him would have been Thistlecrack and Paisley Park. So yeah, if he's able to reproduce that run, or even theoretically, he should be able to go better since he's had his break as well.
Mm.
So if he was to run to the same level he ran to last year, it'd be very hard beat.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And I suppose the form of the Hatton's Grace taking a couple of knocks with Lossiemouth being beaten by Constitution Hill and falling the last day, but like that race wasn't ran to suit him. It was on very
it's
quick
hard.
ground.
It's one of those like they absolute people say they crawled. It had a finishing speed of 115%. Like
Yeah.
it's like someone crabbed him because Beak and Edge got close enough to him. Like there wasn't enough time to put a big distance between the horses. Like in
Yeah.
fairness, like it's
Yeah.
Lazy destroyed him, but she's just a quick mare. Like it was set
Yeah.
up for her. And in fairness to her, she did well to stay up. She nearly came down. I think it was 3 out. So
Yeah.
for her, that was a fair performance from her, regardless of how the race was ran. To have that blip and then go on and win as well as she did.
No, that's fair enough. So now I'm going to put you on the spot. If you were to have one bet across, well, we'll put one across your own horses first. Which one would you be having a bet on? 50 quid.
Jesus, one of our own. Um, if the two big mares go to the champion Hurlde, I'd have 50. She wouldn't be 14 to 1 then, but I'd have 50 quid on Caliconti.
No, that's fair enough. And anything else that you're interested in across outside of your own horses then in the week?
I think 6.5. I'd be very strong on 6.5 for the Mares Novice. I know she's
Okay.
running against Dervin Titleman potentially, but
Yeah.
I think she beat Qualamita 12 lengths, and Qualamita has kind of turned into the yardstick of all the yardsticks for that
Yeah.
division this year. Like she's now ran against 2 of the top 3 in the market. She hasn't ran against Maureen, but she ran against Caroline Bamboo and got close enough. I know they just kind of went hard that day and both got caught for a bit of stamina in it. But no, I'd be very, very impressed with her now. I think it's certainly the best individual performance from a mare from a novice mare this year. Like if Qualamita ran to her mark that day, I think she was 117 at the time, and I think she went up to 118 after DRF. But if she ran to her mark at 117 that day, 6.5 ran to 130.
Yeah.
Like how many mares have ran to 130 this year? And on her debut, she's going to get her ground. Like I just like it's one of those like I just can't see her beat, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be in full agreement with you there on 6.5. So anyway, thanks a lot, Rob. That was fantastic, and I'm sure we'll see you over there anyway. So
Ah, yeah, sure. No,
best
we're
of luck in
both.
the week.
You know you'll see me over
Yeah,
there.
yeah, no.
You know, like we're going for dinner on the Monday, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. So well, yeah, that is true. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, best of luck for the week, and hopefully you get a couple of winners.
Yeah, spot on. Thanks a million.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Well, that was good to hear Rob's thoughts on their horses. So the very best of luck to him and the rest of the team over the course of the week. Moving on to day 3, Killian, the Mayor's Novice Hurlde. I know you're very keen on the same horse that I'm keen on here, 6.5 for Gavin Cromwell. Just the best piece of form in the race, really, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she's very good. I know Rob said it there as well. That he's pro her. She'd be another one of the, I wouldn't say bankers, but she'd be one of my stronger bets across the week, I'd say. All class rated 94 on the flat. She was an early morning favourite for the English Cesarewitch before she was pulled out. She's brilliant on Hurdle's debut. I actually watched it back before this, and like obviously she lacks experience. She's only had one hurdles run, but she was brilliant jumper that day. And I think this is a race that's going to be ran at a relatively quick tempo, which will suit her as well. Obviously she's raised 94 on the flat, so she's a high cruising speed. She'll be well able to travel in behind that, and she's a strong stayer as well. I very hard to oppose her. The only thing is that she'll have to defy the stats that all the winners have had more than 2 hurdle runs, but that's the only thing that's going against her, is that statistic. But there's only been 6 or 7 runs of it, like, so there isn't a big
not really a race
sample
to
size.
get too stuck into any of the Mayor's Novice Hurlde.
No,
Never
it
was.
probably isn't. I learned my lesson for that last year too. But yeah, she'd be one of my stronger fancies now. I think she's nearly unopposable. Maureen's a shocking price. They shouldn't be the same. They're both around 3-1.
Yeah.
I'd be a layer of Maureen. I'd be a layer of Paul Nichols's horse as well. She's no chance. Jubilee Alpha. Those two now have no hope at all. I think Aurora Vega, if there was a small bit of cut in the ground, might run well, but you'd imagine you'd find it hard to see her beating 6.5 as well.
Yeah, it's the kind of race that, it's something could scoot in there at a huge price, has done before in the past. If you fancy something at a big price, certainly body off anything in this, it's wide open. But certainly they've the favourite right. The 6.5 is the right favourite for the race. And she's the most likely winner. At the Ryanair Chase, then, Killian, this is a cracking race. Miles better than the Gold Cup. Now, I know the Gold Cup is shaping up to be a very weak race, so it probably doesn't say much. But this is a race that I'm really looking forward to. Factifile obviously would be in the Gold Cup really if it was trained by anybody else, quite potentially. But look, I suppose a lot of horses maybe ducking and diving with Galopin des Champs there at the moment. Yville Francais coming over from France, Protectorat last year's winner, Spillan's Tower. Like, if you look at his first run of the year,
Going to
Killian,
entry.
Going to entry, is that confirmed?
He is, yeah.
Okay, that's a pity, but I'd fancy him for entry. And yeah, look, it's a great race. Jungle Boogie a bit further down, Envoy Allen. They're two older horses than that, but Henry will have both of them. Well primed Jungle Boogie, very likely raced horse for an 11-year-old, and by all accounts has a chance. But to be honest, I can see Le Francais, just Allaho type performance from him. He just got collared by Banbridge at Kempton in the King George, and I just think this trip will be perfect for him. 2.5 miles, and the way he jumps, the way he travels, I can potentially see just him putting everything out of their comfort zone. And he just got collared at Kempton. Shorter trip here. I think I really think he's a selection for this race, to be honest. His French form, to be honest, I don't know much about it. I can't really make head nor tail of all that stuff that goes on over there, being totally honest with you. But look, his 2 runs in Kempton have been extremely impressive. The ground will be perfect for him. It was good ground at Kempton, and like he's just visually so impressive. I can just see him, all the others not being able to lie up against him.
Yeah, I think the race revolves around Fact to File. I think Fact to File are running the Gold Cup. So
Do you?
yeah, like you don't go, they went novice chasing with them last year. You don't go do that to run them in a Ryanair. At the end of the day, it'll be JP's say, not Willie Mullins. He's probably the only owner that has power over where the horses go in that yard. But I'd say he'll run him in the Gold Cup. Now, I don't think he'd beat Galopin Des Champs, but like,
Would Willie not have ran Spillane Tower here then if that was the case?
will Jimmy Mangan trains him?
Oh, I know, but same owner.
Oh, JP ran him. Well,
Yeah.
he'd have to supplement him. Like he could supplement him. I don't know, but they said they were going to entry, but he could supplement him still. You don't know. Like, but I do think if Fact to File runs here, he'll win. I think Il Francais' running style will be perfect for Fact to File. Like he's probably Fact to File is a 3 miler, like and he'll just pop away in behind Il Francais and he'll come then and he'll be staying on. I just think he's a better horse than Il Francais. And I'd say just next year they'll be keeping Fact to File away from Galopin Des Champs until Cheltenham be King George for Fact to File. Probably what they should have done this year instead of running Spillane's Tower there. But yeah, I think this is Fact to File's race if he runs. Outside of that, like no 10-year-old has ever won it. So Protectorate, Invialan, Jungle Boogie, that'd be all against them. They're all over 10. So I'd probably be a layer of Protectorate, to be honest.
Would you?
I'd lay him for a place, I'd say. I did that last year as well, though. That also failed, but at least I'll own up to it.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
Rob.
you're after knocking a fair few of them out on the head there. You almost having a match
No.
between Ile Francais and Factifile.
Yeah, I don't think it's competitive on paper, but
Yeah.
is it that competitive? Like Gaelic Warrior is not going to go. Jello has no chance. El Fabiano will be staying at home. You're going down then to Hartwood. Found a 50 would be interesting if he ran all right, but I don't know what their plan is to run in the champion chaser here. I actually he'd have a good chance here if he ran Found a 50, but he probably won't run. So. I don't know. I think it's Fact to File if he runs, but he might not, and in which that case it'd be probably a reluctant delay Francais just because I like the way he jumps and he's fucking smashing like.
Yeah, smashing. I think he just gets such a unfair money out of him too. You know what he's going to do.
Yeah,
He's exuberant. And he'll definitely go shorter and running. That's a fact.
absolutely.
If he does turn up here. Right, Killian, on to the stairs hurdle then. We've got Chupu at the top of the market, going for 2 in a row, potentially could be going for 3 in a row. Things didn't work out for him there a couple of years ago. But look, he's going for 2 in a row. He looks this year wasn't as impressive as it was last year. But he clearly looks the most likely winner of the race to me. Home by the Lee is going for 4th-time lucky here at Cheltenham. And I just don't think he's good enough to win a race like this. He might place. He was 5th in it, I think, last year. I just don't think he's good enough to win this race. Leopardstown suits him. He is an out-and-out stayer. But I just don't think he's got the class. The ground is going to be potentially quick as well, which might be the biggest negative in the world for him. But I just don't think he's got the class for it. Looking further down, then it's weak. Like the Wall Park, Rockies Diamond, Gowell Road. Like Chupu was the class horse here.
He's yeah. It's a very easy starting point.
And finishing point.
And finishing point, really, he's the best horse in the race by a decent margin. He's only 8. He should be in his prime of his life now. I wouldn't worry about the Hatton's Grace too much. Rob alluded to it there, like walked around basically, turned into a sprint, got beaten by a quicker horse. No shame in that. Don't think like even if it's on the quick side, the ground, it's not a massive inconvenience to him. Over 3 miles, to be honest. I just think he's the best horse in the race. As you said, home by the Lee is no chance. Like there isn't an awful lot of pace in the race, which would be the worry for a couple of the out and out stayer, like an out and out stayer like home by the Lee, that they might just it might be just a slowly enough run race, and like that'd bring the likes of Langer Dan into it, and more importantly, to bring Bob Ollinger into it. Uh, he's one I really like at a massive price for the race. 25-33 to 1 there this morning. Yeah, it was the fastest run in the Christmas hurdle. I know Rob said it in 17 years there. And just got outstayed by home by the Lee. He's 2 out of 2 over hurdles at Cheltenham. I think if this race is ran at a slow enough tempo, he's going to come to the last on the bridle. He's probably going to come to the last on the bridle no matter what. And if they ran around slow, he's faster than Teahupoo. Like,
Yeah.
he could run past him.
Yeah.
I just maybe he wouldn't. The last sort of 50 yards would be where he'd be Wilton, but you wouldn't know. He could fall into it. And he's a big
Yeah.
price. I know
And
Puppy Power
he loves
is
Cheltenham.
he loves Cheltenham, and Puppy Power put him up on the Boyle Sports one that said he wouldn't be out the first 3, and the price sort of contracted a bit. I was thinking, Puppy, you could have kept your fucking mouth shut. But yeah, he like it's worth noting as well. He's shaped like a bit of a stair over 2.5 in Aintree last year on quick ground. So I just think that like his form with home by the Lee is the last 3 years, and the Lismullen is sort of home by the Lee and him. He's outstayed him the first year. Second year, Bob got weight and beat him. This year, he got weight off Bob and beat Bob. It's sort of there isn't a lot between them over that trip.
No.
And then the 3 miles, the better ground will bring Bob into it. And I
Yeah.
think
It
you're going to get a
absolutely
good
will.
run for your money.
Yeah, it absolutely will. And at 25 or 33 to 1. Like when you think of it, he's a 2 out of 2, as you said, over hurdles, 3-time course winner, albeit once was quite fortunate, but he's 3 out of 3 at the course. Like looking back, he hasn't been out of the first 2 in his last 6 races. He's been second the last 3 times, quite unlucky at Aintree last year. The ground is going to suit. When was the last time he get 25-33 to 1 on a horse that's got that record around Cheltenham with good recent form? It
That's
just
it.
doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. And like he's going to be he's probably an on-stayer at the trip, but it's just the lack of pace in the race that I can't get over. Like I know JJ Slevin said he's going to do something different. Is he going to make the run and home by the Lee? I don't know, and try and turn it into a real stamina sapping race. I don't know. Like there's no Florin Porter here to string them out, you know. So I
No.
just think he's got a right chance of hitting the frame, and he's an outside chance of beating the favorite. But for all that, I do think Teahupoo is rock solid and probably will win.
Yeah.
And I'd back him at shorter than even money too.
Yeah. I'd be in agreement with you there on both of those horses, Killian. I don't know if I've lost you or if you've lost me, or am I
No, I
here?
lost a bit of you there. You're all right. You're still
Okay.
going.
We're still going. Right. Well, Killian, we'll move on to the handicaps. So tell me, what do you have? I've got one that I do quite like in the Jack Richardson, that new novice chase, handicap chase over middle distance. But I'll leave you take it away there first of all.
Okay, so in the Pertemps, I'd love if the mouse saw sense and ran Franciscan Rock in the Pertemps.
Yeah.
He'd probably win it, I'd say, but he won't see sense, so he won't run there. He'll run the stairs and probably come 7th. He's a good horse though, Franciscan Rock, and he'd be worth a good few quid. And again, you get a big price on him, like not by a fashionable trainer, and I think he'd have a right chance. The Wall Park, if he ran in the Pertemps, is another one I'd really like to back. He is that profile of a grade one horse running a handicap, hasn't been completely rinsed by the handicapper either. And he ran reasonably well in the long walk, stayed on. I think the 3 miles in a Pertemps off top weight would suit him. He's about 5-1, but more than likely will run the stairs. Then in the Jack Richards novice handicap, Nürburgring. I'm not pronouncing it right still after probably fucking 2 years, but is it not very obvious that this horse has been laid out for this race? He got £3 off the English handicapper. He won a Galway hurdle off a mark of 139 last year, rated 150 over hurdles, runs off 143 over fences. Like that crop of 4-year-olds from last year are outstanding. He's another one of them, and Nadawi was second to him in the Galway hurdle. He's another good 4-year-old from last year, and like Nürburgring ran really well in the Irish Cesarewitch as well. He finished fourth, and it was actually 6.5 that finished one place in front of him. And there's a bit of a theme coming here from those 4-year-olds from last year that you do want to keep a lot of them on side, to be honest. And I just think he's been laid out for this race, and to only get £3 when you see other horses that have been less obviously handicapped in such a way get more, it just make you wonder. Maybe the handicapper had a few quid in the Burgering, but yeah, he's got a serious chance. He's about 7-1 there, and I just think he's going to win it. And like, if a horse is classy enough to win a Galway hurdle off 139, you're going to have a right chance in a race like this on his preferred good ground. You know, it's he's going to be bang there. And
no, I can see the argument you're making for the horse. All right, absolutely.
And I actually have one more as well, James.
Okay,
if you don't mind me taking up all the time. In the Kim Muir Midnight Hour Fred is another one. John Flavin is a brilliant trainer. Number one, he's down in Waterford, and he's very, very good. And the handicapper has gave his horse Midnight Hour Fred £1. The handicapper may not know who John Flavin is. But if he did know, this horse would not have got £1. He's a brilliant target trainer, and he's very good at getting a horse right for the day. This horse is going to relish the marathon trip at the Kim Muir. Good ground is going to be absolutely perfect for him. The only concern would be is he's not a very frequent winner. Is he 2 out of 17 over under rules? And 1 out of 8 over fences. I just think like that. Stats, like 11 of the last 12 winners have all carried over 11 stone. He fits that. It's the only one with Shambard, who won on bottomless ground at 50-1 or 66-1. You need to have had 3 or more runs in the season. He's had that. 11 of the last 12 winners, and 11 of the last 12 winners have ran in the last 76 days. His last run was 76 days before the Kim Muir. So he fits that trend as well. He ran really well in the Paddy Power at Christmas, beaten by Percival de Gallois. I actually thought I had him backed as well. I thought he was fucking coming to win it, and I seen Percival de Gallois coming, and Percival de Gallois did the same thing to me in the DRF when I was on Gway Cool for Ted Walsh. But Midnight Hour Friend is a really, really good horse. He's gonna relish the trip, and I think at 10-1, he's a fair price for that.
Okay, very good. The one horse that I had for handicap on Thursday that I really like is the Company Sergeant in the Jack Richards Handicap Chase. Formerly trained by Dennis Hogan, had one start for Gavin Cromwell over hurdles at Navan. Ran a great race, finished third, and I just think that like his form over fences is quite good. He's had 9 runs, and he's just very consistent. Usually finishes in the first 3, and I think that Gavin can squeak out a bit of improvement on his first start over fences in the new yard. Ground, it'll be perfect for him. I just think he's got a lot in his favour. 14-1 Bet365. You'd nearly swear that they're sponsoring this, because that seems to be the only price that I'm quoting. But 14-1 I think is a very fair price on him. And that's certainly where I'd be looking at for a handicap pick on the Thursday. Killian, before we go on to Friday, give me one selection again, like the first 2 days, that is just going to win.
Midnight Hour Fred, Kim Muir.
Okay. I'm going to go Ile Francais in the Ryanair. Right, Killian, we'll get into day 4. It probably shouldn't take as long as the previous 2 days because the main event, the main course is fairly straightforward. There's only one choice on the menu, and that's Galloping des Champs. But we'll start with the Hurlde. It almost looking like a bit of a match there between East India Dock and La Lamba for Nicky Henderson. Look, it's not my favorite race of the week by any stretch of the imagination. I do have a clear preference between these two. I prefer East India Dock's form. I think it's worked out that bit better. And I think the course form as well is huge. And the fact that he's been to Cheltenham twice already and done and produced it, I think that's a positive. That's where I go, but I don't have any really strong opinion on the race.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of using your eyes.
Yes.
And East India Dock is a cut above every other horse that has raced this year. He's course form on around Cheltenham and on the new course, especially a crucial 89 rated flat horse, better hurdler again. He's a real slick jumper. I watched back the 2 races in Cheltenham and I couldn't find fault in him at all. I think he's going to do what Goshen threatened to do a couple of years ago and win by half the track. I'd say he's a horse for the champion hurdle next year. He's absolutely outstanding. He's an incredible athlete. He's just looks absolutely brilliant. And I know he only beat Boodle's horses in the 2 races in Cheltenham really, but he did it with such ease. You just had to stand there with your mouth open, really looking at him. To be honest, he's fantastic. I think he's basically bomb-proof, bar the fact that he's a 4-year-old. I'd be a layer of Lulamba, to be honest. His horse is hyped up and like he was good the last day, but he wasn't near as good as what East India Docks produced. I'd say he'd be more of a Hello Neighbour price now than a East India Dock price, I think, if I was laying them anyway. But I think Hello Neighbour he's a very good flat horse. Was won twice at Leopardstown, but hasn't really been impressive either day. Did take a step forward the last day when winning the Grade 1, but I'd imagine he'll find East India Dock and maybe Lulamba as well, too good. But yeah, that's right, be East India Dock.
Okay. Moving on to the Mayor's Chase then, we've got Dino Blue at the top of the betting there, 13-8, Allegor de Vassy 5-1, Only by Night 6-1, Spindleberry 6-1, Bioluminescence about 6-1 as well, and then you're back to last year's winner Limerick Lace, who can be got at 7-1. To be honest, Limerick Lace isn't going to get the ground. It doesn't look like she's going to get the ground that she likes anyway. Along with that, her form has saw her fallen away a small bit. I think this is very straightforward. And it's definitely out of all the short priced horses of the week, this would be one to be a lot more keen on. Yes, the trip, that 2.5 miles isn't Dino Blue's optimum trip, we'd say. Obviously much better over the 2 miles, but I just think she's a class above these. Allegor de Vassy has been to Cheltenham twice already. She's a hollow mare. We talk about hardy mares. She's pure and utter hollow. As if you give her a tap, you'd hear an echo. There's nothing inside in her at all. Only by Night, Spindleberry.
They're not Only by Night's going to the Arkle and Spindleberry's not going at all.
Is Spindleberry not going at all?
Seemingly not.
Yeah, I thought Spindleberry might be going. Bioluminescence.
She's a mare. She'll go either now.
No.
She disgraced herself the last day.
Well, she didn't disgrace herself. She was bet by Spindleberry, all right.
Disgraced.
I think that's a bit harsh. I'd say she will go on. She's a mare that I do really like, but ratings speak for itself really. There's such a disparity between Dino Blue and Bioluminescence. I really think that this is a penalty kick of all penalty kicks for Dino Blue, 13-8. Like, you're looking at Ballyburn at the same price. I can see clear alternatives to Ballyburn. I can't see clear alternatives to Dino Blue. Out of all the short price horses of the week, she's the one for me.
Yeah, I do think she's the most likely winner, but geez, I wouldn't want to fucking back her either though. I don't like her. She's annoyed me now for a long time. Allegor Devassi has no chance. As I said, only by night and Spindlebear won't run. Wouldn't imagine Bioluminescence will run. I wouldn't imagine Limerick Lace will even run. Bioluminescence could go, but she's no chance. And I backed her at 14s before she ran in Limerick at Christmas, and the run behind Dancing City was really, really good. She needed heavy ground, but she ran the last day, and she's a fucking disaster. Bride's Hill at about 14 to 1 is one now I like for Gavin Cromwell as well. Hopefully she'll be ridden by Keith. And yeah, I think she's a good ground mare. She's a 2.5 mile mare, and she could put it up to the favourite at a bigger price. But I do think Dino Blue will probably win. But I wouldn't like to be getting stuck in at 11-8 or 5-4, because that's what she's going to be as well. Like, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think she's the winner. To be honest, I couldn't say a bad thing about her. Apart from the trip isn't optimum, but she's got too much class for these. She'll have Mark Walsh on board. Yeah, she was outstayed last year, but I don't see that happening again this year, particularly with Limerick Lace not going to get the ground that she likes. Moving on to the Albert Bartlett then, Killian. Look, the top two in the market we're not going to get, you'd imagine. Final Demand and the Yellow Clay. If we did get either of them, you'd be all over them, really. I think it's a very, very weak Albert Bartlett. There's nothing really standing off the page there to me. Like, I'd be wondering, could like the likes of Mark Fahey's Flicker of Hope improve there? You know, has been progressing through handicaps, and is battle hardened. But like, that's how weak the race is nearly, that I'm considering a horse like that. To be honest, Wingmen could be the one. Like, does it say something about Wingmen, the fact that they're happy enough sending the Yellow Clay to the Ballymore? Then again, it could just be a case of minding the Yellow Clay for down the line and giving him an easier race. I think Wingmen at 10 to 1, 11 to 1 is a very fair price. But it's a weak Albert Bartlett.
Yeah, well, I don't know, is it as weak as you're saying? Like, if you got one out of the Yellow Clare Final Demand, they'd win.
Yes.
Because they're top horses. I think the Big Westerner is the obvious starting point. Now, no mare has ever won this, which would be a problem.
Yeah.
But she's very professional. The two who runs over hurdles were fantastic. What she did after the line in Limerick, or after the last in Limerick to the line, was really, really good. She's a real strong stayer. Probably would prefer a cut in the ground. But like, she's not really a mare though. She's a gelding. She's fucking massive. You know, like she's not your typical mare. Like, so that's why I think like 6 to 1. She's not going to be 6 to 1 the day. Like, she's going to be a lot shorter. Now if one of them turn up, which they won't, she will be 6 to 1. But she's going to go off a lot shorter than 6 to 1. I'd look through something at a bigger price and I could find fucking nothing. Wingman is a horse I like. He's a strong stayer. But I don't think he's as good as her. I wouldn't imagine he'd be able to give her £7 even on quicker ground. She's been trained for the race. There was an interesting stat that I didn't actually know on the Race Hour podcast, where Henry de Bromhead horses of bigger than 90-day breaks are 25% strike rate at Cheltenham. Now, she doesn't have a 90-day break, but she's fucking 70-something day break, like, so she has a fair chance now. I just think it's a tough race for favourites to win, which is another worry. It does throw up the odd stupid result, like even Stellar Story last year was 33 to 1. I'd be with the Big Westerner. I think she'd be one of my stronger bets of the week now as well.
Really?
I just think she's really, really talented. She does everything so easily, and she hasn't made mistakes to this point, and she looks very professional.
Yeah, I couldn't in a race that I see as weak as it is. I wouldn't be getting involved with the Big Westerner, considering ground and whatnot. Jet Blue is another one. You know, like Cotton will have him wound up. You know, he'll have him full.
I said even more than wound up.
He will have him full.
Full
you know,
to the
so
fucking gills. Yeah. he would have a chance full up now, in fairness.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you who's no chance. Windingo.
Yeah.
He has no chance. And
Yeah.
He's
But
about
like,
14 to 1. He's another one for the lay list. Now we'll come back to that at the end. But
yeah,
he'd be
we'll
on
get
the
the lay
way.
list stuff at the
He'd
end.
be
I'm
on
looking
the lay
forward to
list.
hearing that. I've been hearing all about that. But look, like JetBlue,
Must
like
write it
has
down.
the course form was very impressive there. When he did go to that grade 2 before Christmas, and in a week race, I'd be happy enough taking a stab with something like that. I know I'm after giving a few there. What one would I nail my colours to the mast on? I'd probably go wingman just over JetBlue, to be honest. But I wouldn't be getting involved in anything below 3-1 if that's what you reckon Henry's mare is going to end up at.
I wouldn't say 3-1, but she might be 130, 7-2. It should be 4-1, 4-1, I suppose. Be a fair
Yeah,
enough price on her now on the day. You get
yeah,
sixes now, though. Fill up.
yeah. Look, we'll move on to the Gold Cup. It's
3 of them
it's
he's
very
going to have.
sorry,
He's going to have 3 of them.
three
when the
of them
race is
exactly.
finished. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a machine, isn't he, Willie?
He is, yeah. A capital.
Um,
He's a monster, like he is.
a monster.
And
Yeah.
you can't. You're not going to beat him. I think Factifile will run in it, but Factifile won't beat him. The fences might beat him maybe or something. Good ground is the only
Yeah,
thing that could beat him. But fuck it, it doesn't matter. He's too good.
doesn't matter. No,
He's
no.
fucking
And I
pounds
tell you,
above Banbridge in these
no,
horses.
and
Like
Banbridge is the only horse that actually makes this race in any way interesting in terms of a competition. Again, you couldn't see Banbridge winning it, but similar said earlier on about Marine Nationale doing all the donkey work at the RF, pegging back Solinus. Banbridge did all the donkey work in the King George and got to Ile Francais and past Ile Francais, has the ground. But like, look, I think there's a class disparity between both horses there, obviously. Look, I think you could talk all day about it, but you're just going to end up with the same answer. Galloping Deschamps, as you said, number 3.
3 of them.
Killian, so for day 4, give me one horse just before we wrap up that is going to win on day 4.
Well, I have a couple in the handicaps now first.
Okay, go on.
You're trying to cut me off. The county hurdle, like it's very obvious. Lark in the Morning has been laid out for this since I'd say they were standing in the parade ring after he won the Boodles. And I'd say Joseph turned to Mulryan and said, "We're coming back here to win the county hurdle next year."
Yeah.
He's off a mark of 132. He got £2 for his Irish mark. Another horse that like didn't get rinsed at all, even though it's very obvious what they're up to. He won the Boodles off £10 lower off 122. He bet Nadawi. Who was going on to be second in the Galway hurdle. The horse that was second that day, Eagle's Reign, went on to win the Latrigue hurdle in Listowel. That's a very competitive 4-year-old handicap. Like Newburgering, he's campaigned for the race, which is a big plus, and very hard to see him not hitting the frame. Like that run in Haydock was a load of nonsense last year. I'd say they were only going over for the crack. Again, they probably decided this after they won actually they knew they were going to win the Boodles, so they probably decided it a month before they ran the Boodles. This has been a year-long plan, I would imagine, and like it was hard to know how far back he was at Christmas in the fog, but he ran on really well and has been left fresh now for this, and like 132 JJ Slevin, off you go, fill your boots, fill your boots. Now the only one that could be one to stop him would be Cargeese if she got Paul Townend on board. If she got him, she'd go off favourite, I'd say. But Lark in the Morning is going to be very, very hard to beat. But again, it's coming back to that 4-year-old form from last year. Like she was grade 1 winning 4-year-old last year. Like so, she ran well she ran in all the festivals. She went to DRF, Cheltenham, Aintree, punched
very
down a real
disappointed
Hardy
at Ascot
bitch.
though.
Sorry, she was very disappointed in Ascot. Yeah, I would imagine she would have needed the run. And into the county hurdle now, she's got a favourable mark, and she'd be a danger, right? But I really like Lark in the Morning. Just screams a plot.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'd be in agreement there with you on Lark in the Morning. So your selection for Friday?
East India Dock.
Okay, I'm going to go Dino Blue.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we might put the 4 of them up on the one horse that we've picked out for each day, or the one selection. I know I picked a horse place for the first 2 days. We might stick them up on Twitter, but by all means, we'll have our selections up on Twitter there as the week goes on. Killian, before we wrap it up, you have a list, I believe,
The
that I've been hearing bits and pieces about
The lay
of
list.
horses to lay for the week.
This is
So,
the lay.
So we're going to see how many of these now you can get right.
Well, this could very well blow up my face.
Right.
There could be screen grabs this going around, like the recordings of it, and saying this lad hasn't a clue. And they're probably right. But this is the definitive lay list. Lozzymouth, if she runs in the mares, she's getting laid.
Oh, Lord.
I'm going to lay Constitution Hill for a place, I'd say.
Lord.
Yeah. I'm going to lay him for a place.
Paul Nicholls'
horse in the bumper. What's it called? No drama this end. Lay him for a place too. He's no chance. Paul Nicholls' horse in the mare's novice hurdle. Jubilee Alpha. She's no chance either. You can lay her for a place as well. You can actually, if Caldwell Potter runs in the novice handicap, and the ground isn't, if the ground is on the quick side, he's fucked. They actually should wait for entry for him now, in fairness. He really shouldn't run Cheltenham. But if he does run, you can place lay him as well. You can probably place lay Protectorat in the Ryanair as well. What else do I have? There's a variety of John Joe O'Neill horses across the week you can lay. But to have a few quid on Johnny Who to actually win the National Chase. Lulamba, you can lay him too. And you can lay a Windingo for a place in the Bartlett. And if you're here, if you see a few of these come in, I'm fucked. I'll be outside with the fucking Roma gypsies begging. Looking for cash off lads. So there we are. That's the definitive lay list.
What a list.
Yeah.
What a list. I don't even know where to start on that. I suppose Lossymouth is the one that I'd be most against. But I think that's a mad list. The very best of luck to you for the week.
Thank you.
But yeah, look, that's all from us. Look, enjoy the week.
But enjoy it by being disciplined.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, like do be disciplined, because like even if you want to, I don't know, let's say your stake is 20 quid, like if there's a race you're not sure of, like, you know, back 2 horses, a fiver each, like, you know, don't go and lose your fucking marbles on Tuesday and go all in on Kopek and Mashborough and in a double or something. If one of them get bet, you're fucked. Like, take your time, steady yourself. It's 4 long days, there's 28 races. Don't disgrace yourself the first day. And if you are up money after the first day, don't give it all back either.
Very, very fair advice. Very good advice. What do you say?
Wise advice.
Wise advice.
Yeah.
Very wise advice. Very fitting note to leave it on. So look, enjoy the festival, enjoy the week, and yeah, we won't see you next week.
No, we might never see you again. This could be the end of it now.
Good luck.
Good luck. Thanks.